Devil May Cry's Dante is the perfect case study for writing enthusiast heroes. The 13 Laws of Writing for Strangers accurately states that audiences don't care about the plot as much as they do the actual characters. Elaborate events, themes, and world building mean nothing to people without the lead characters to anchor us into the story. At the beginning of any story, we're looking for someone to latch onto, someone to be our hero. With this in mind, I have devoted all sorts of times to learning how to write characters. I have acquired plenty of approaches for better understanding characters and people over the years. My favorite as a writer is the Enneagram of Personality. Think of it like a personality cheat sheet, breaking down human traits into 9 distinct types, each with their own strengths, weaknesses, and patterns. Plus, there's a little extra spice with Enneagram wings, which are the types on either side of the main type. These create unique blends. It's super helpful for crafting characters that feel real, and it's a goldmine for writers looking to build engaging heroes. Of course, to get the most out of it, it helps to understand each type in depth. One of the best ways to gain this understanding is through seeing examples of this type in action. And based on my assessment of his actions, history, and motivations, Dante is not only an Enneagram 7, the enthusiast, but he's the ideal 7 to study. So, with this character analysis, I'm going to not only explore Dante through the lens of the Enneagram, but I'll break down aspects of an enthusiast hero you can use for your own characters. Let's start with the surface characteristics. After all, the tip of the iceberg is what people see first and what creates first impressions. With Dante, one of the first things that always catches people's eyes is his iconic red coat. Enthusiasts love standing out and embracing life to the fullest, which is reflected well in the outfit. They also tend to have a touch of flair. Dante likewise tends to wear casual attires beneath the coat, when he's wearing anything at all, which allows for the freedom and flexibility that aligns well with the 7's on-the-go lifestyle. We must also draw attention to his boots, which support his action-packed adventures. This footwear aligns well with a touch for practicality, as well as a readiness for new experiences. As for on the surface, you can immediately see quite a few things that connect Dante to 7ness. As the star of a hack-and-slash stylish action game, Dante is action-oriented, as are most 7s. When fighting devils, he's known for his enthusiasm, optimism, and self-assuredness. Type 7s are especially known to have a great sense of humor and being quick-witted, which Dante is in spades. He tends to find humor in most situations. Beyond that, Type 7s tend to be nonchalant, as we can often see with Dante in his introductions. When around his shop Devil May Cry, Dante is carefree and laid back. He also tends to eat a lot of pizza, which is one thing that adds to the joke of him being wacky woohoo pizza guy. His love of pizza, strawberry sundaes, and so forth does reflect well in enthusiast eating habits. These types are not the fondest of diets and tend to align well with fast food, if they aren't devouring tons of food or trying a variety of foods. It's noted in Dante's past that he was a big eater. And, of course, we can see how much Dante seeks novelty and new experiences through so many things. With gameplay, there's the fact he collects and utilizes so many different, bizarre, and exotic weapons. The variety and depth of his options is the perfect reflection of his 7ness. This does extend beyond his skills as a demon hunter as well. For instance, Dante is a music aficionado. Not only does his office contain a drum set, guitar, and antique jukebox, but he even notes in the anime preview for the episode Rock Queen that you wouldn't expect a guy like him to understand the deeper meaning conveyed through music. Now, this attitude is nice and all, but there is much more to a Type 7 than just these surface traits. This is stuff we can understand by going deeper into Dante, and understanding his history and what shaped him. And, in case you think you know Dante's history, trust me when I say there's some important things that you might not know. This brings us to the second layer of character, history. Here's the part most people familiar with Devil May Cry know. Dante was born as the son of the legendary demon Sparta and his human wife Ava. Sparta was a powerful demon who rebelled against his own kind to protect humanity, and Ava was the woman who stole his heart. Dante also had a twin brother named Virgil, who was the more introverted of the two. From what we can tell across various sources, games, novels, and other media, the two grew up in a loving and peaceful environment. Sparta taught them a bit of sword combat to prepare them for the dangerous world they were bound to face, but none of it was enough for the defining tragedy that befell them after Sparta's death. Demons attacked their home, targeting their family due to Sparta's betrayal. Ava managed to hide Dante, but died while searching for Virgil. This event left a traumatic scar on Dante which, well, here's the thing about trauma. Trauma isn't what happens to us, but what we hold inside in the absence of an empathetic witness. It's the story someone tells themselves about events. For Dante, he told himself that demons were evil, that they took away everything he loved. He knew he was half demon, however, which led to internal issues for him that plagued Dante on some level throughout his entire history. To cope with this loss, Dante distanced himself from the past and adopted the name Tony Redgrave. He feigns being purely human and, after some time, becomes a mercenary to avenge his family and find the demon responsible for everything. The various jobs he took helped him make ends meet and hone his skills while staying under the radar. During this time, he meets Enzo Farino, who was a middleman for Dante, as well as the gunsmith Nell Goldstein. Eventually, his past catches up to him, and he's forced to remember the truth of who he is. Unable to hide under the alias any longer, he embraces his identity as Dante and sets out to create Devil May Cry. This brings us to layer 3 of a character, their true character. This is what's revealed when faced with pressure. In the case of Type 7s, they prefer to avoid pain and suffering. They tend to avoid negative emotions as much as they can, which is a consistent pattern throughout Dante's life. His time as Tony Redgrave was his escapist fantasy away from acknowledging his demon heritage. When he avoids going to Patty's birthday party when she calls him in Devil May Cry 5, it's because he planned to celebrate with her later, alone, as he feels he shouldn't be around regular people, given how uncomfortable he feels with them. Or, for another crucial instance, there's his entire relationship with Nero. Dante already figured out that Nero was Virgil's son, but he avoided saying anything because of how uncomfortable a topic it was for him. He only tells Nero in a moment of anger when trying to keep Nero out of things. Dante consistently maintains his unflappable exterior to avoid difficult things when it comes to social and psychological issues. And in sticking with the defense mechanism of Type 7s, sublimation, Dante avoids all these things by turning it into something interesting or finding a way to look on the bright side of life. This can easily be reflected in his attitude while on the job, the way he overall plays around with everyone, everything as he does what he does. Or, for when he is off the clock, it can be seen how he takes to things with a childlike passion. It's even noted during his time as Tony Redgrave that he was like a kid at heart when interacting with other kids. This isn't to say Dante is childlike, however. When enthusiasts have been pushed far enough into their stress, they become more critical, perfectionistic, and black and white. They take on some traits that mirror Type 1, the reformer. Dante's side with this can be seen in how he deals with particularly dangerous threats, such as his brother Virgil. In these cases, Dante becomes far more ruthless and straightforward when taking down devils. Those who give up their humanity or have no humanity receive no mercy from Dante. In fact, it's noted during his time as Tony Redgrave that he's a rare breed among mercenaries, willing to deal death but lamenting its necessity. The shift to Type 1 traits could also explain Dante's character shift in Devil May Cry 2. In Devil May Cry 1, Dante was forced to slay Virgil, unaware of what had become of his brother. He's far more stoic and colder in Devil May Cry 2, which could be rationalized as Dante being in an unhealthy mindset for a bit due to his depression about everything. Plus, Dante having that side to him isn't a new thing. As Tony Redgrave, Dante despises others, discovering he has a more serious, philosophical side to him. Or, in Devil May Cry 3, Dante starts off playful when dealing with Lady, but as he learns far more of the situation's actual depth, and his playful side isn't working for pushing her away, he becomes a bit more serious and forceful. In Devil May Cry 5, when Dante realizes Virgil is back and the threat he poses, he becomes set on killing him to end the mess Virgil created yet again in his pursuit of power. On the flip side, Dante's growth in the series can reflect his shift into Type 5, the Observer. When enthusiasts are relaxed and in a growth position, they can live in the present and be more focused with their energy. First, they become far more disciplined, which Dante actually is. Aside from the work he put in to build his business, his combat skills hide a secret discipline and restraint to them, with him being incredibly precise. And the more power he wields, the more controlled he is, as best showed with his handling of his Sin Devil trigger. Furthermore, he showcases a side to him that is motivated by doing what is right or called for instead of just having fun. A good example of this development is shown in Devil May Cry 3, after he defeats Lady. He openly admits that at first, he didn't care about the bigger picture of things, but due to her influence in all this, he does now, and will see through in stopping the threat Virgil and Lady's father Arkham created. This side can be seen most of all in how Dante is positioned throughout the series. When not counting prequel stories like Devil May Cry 3 or the novel, Dante tends to function as the catalyst hero, which is when the mentor is the lead. Dante recognizes the humanity of others and is big about protecting that. He likewise encourages others to be their best, and is a supportive guy who tries to aid people through their struggles. In Devil May Cry 2, he's this for Lucia. The story itself is more personal for her, but Dante is the one who reassures her of her humanity despite her being an artificial demon, insisting that it's how she acts that defines her, not her heritage. Likewise, he's supportive of Nero over and over, even doing things like entrusting Yamato, Virgil's sword, to Nero after seeking to reclaim it. And, in things like the Devil May Cry anime, he can be seen trying to keep people out of his world, while advising them to make the best of their own lives. If you're writing an Enneagram 7 who is at their most heroic, they've become the Illuminator. They're still positive, but able to face uncomfortable things head on. No problem is insurmountable to them. They become practical philosophers, noble, and persistent. They come to realize that happiness isn't obtained from unrelenting optimism and experience, but from developing the full spectrum of emotions and feelings so that they can realistically dedicate to the welfare of humanity. Like any enthusiast, Dante is driven by a need to keep himself excited and occupied, to avoid and discharge pain, and to maintain his freedom and happiness. Versatile, acquisitive, optimistic, playful, and resilient, Dante is one of the characters you should think about when writing a Type 7. If you enjoy character analysis like this, give the video a like. If you wish for consistent content geared toward those interested in storytelling, subscribe to the channel since I release videos every Sunday.